We're making caramel apple pie. So delicious. I'm just not sure why we haven't done this earlier. Welcome and welcome back. My name is Andrew, hailing from makeitdairyfree.com. And you know what? Shame on me for not suggesting this. Matter of fact, I ain't taking all the blame. Shame on you for not suggesting that I make this. We should have made this a long time ago. Caramel apple pie. We're taking apple pie and caramel apples, and we're gonna have them just you know, we're gonna have them kind of like maybe we're trying to have them putting them together. Okay, so that the hand motions aren't quite working for me. So I'll just say it. We're gonna have them on top of each other. We're gonna have them inside each other. We're putting them on each other. We're basically gonna mate them together, you know, sort of like moms and like dads, and then there's there's gonna be like a baby pie, but like a big baby, like a good size, because it's gonna be a normal size pie. It's not gonna be like a bunch of little mini pies or anything like that, like weirding you out and stuff. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's gonna be a pie, and it's gonna be a normal size pie. It's just my analogies today are just like, whew. So you know what we're doing, right? Nailed it. Nailed it. They have no idea what we're doing today. First up is our caramel. Now, this is a quick caramel, and it's insanely easy. It's sort of like the caramel you would find when you make like sticky buns. So instead of the traditional caramel, we're doing this one because we're gonna actually cook it twice. One's gonna be on the stove, and one is gonna be when it's inside the pie. All you're doing is pouring all your ingredients inside of a saucepan, and then you're gonna bring it to a boil. You wanna stir it around carefully, just making sure you have everything combined and you're melting the butter. Boom, once it begins to boil, remove it from the heat and let it cool. Next, we're making the pie crust. We'll need a pretty large bowl because we're doubling the pie crust. We're making crust for the inside of the pie, and then we're also making crust to go on top. We're gonna start out with combining our dry ingredients. Then we're gonna use our fork and give it a quick stir. Next, we're gonna take our shortening and we're gonna add tablespoon-sized pieces into our flour mixture. You could also use butter in this step, but you're gonna have to make sure it is super cold. Other than that, you may miss the flakiness that you get if you decide to substitute the butter and the shortening. Use your fork to cut the shortening into the flour. Another super easy way I like to do this is I use a food processor and I dump everything in there. From here, I add my vanilla right into my milk. You could also add that right into the bowl because your milk is coming in right behind that. And then you're going to stir that to combine everything to make your dough. As you see here, once I can't stir anymore with a fork, I typically use my hands to begin pressing the dough together. The dough may seem a bit flaky, but that is 100% okay. You just wanna make sure you get everything together, and once you do that, you can take it and put it right in the refrigerator to hydrate. In this step, adding it into the refrigerator isn't a necessity, but it certainly helps. Lastly, it's time to prep the apples before assembling our pie. This part can be slightly tedious, especially if you don't have the tools to peel and core the apples. Either way, I toss on some music or some Netflix, and this process goes by in no time. So now, once you have all your apples peeled, cored, and sliced, you're going to add them into a large pot. Once you have the apples in the pot, you're gonna be adding all of your ingredients except for the cornstarch. Bring that to medium heat, and for the next 15 minutes, you're gonna stir occasionally on and off. This allows all the apples to make sure they get heated through. So I've gotten a lot of questions about why would you cook your apples instead of simply just baking them. Apples in general have a ton of water. Pre-cooking your apples before you bake them will help reduce that amount of water that's in there. Therefore, you have less of a concern when your pie comes out that it's either gonna be undercooked or your filling's just really watery. Last thing is it also helps because you definitely don't want your crust to be soggy. At least I don't want my crust to be soggy. You could do what you want with your crust. After the 15 minutes, you can add your cornstarch and you're gonna stir it around to thicken everything up. From here, you're gonna take your filling and you're gonna add it onto a large baking tray. Try to spread it out as evenly and as thin as possible. Allow that to cool before you do the next step. Time to assemble that pie. To start your crust, you're gonna take that dough ball and you're gonna split it in half. You're doing that because you need part for the bottom and part for the top. Now onto a floured surface. And I actually like to use this method where I put a piece of parchment paper down before I do anything. And then after I flour it, I put another piece of parchment paper on top. I like it personally because it helps me with the rolling process. And I also do this method where I flip the pie crust into the pie pan, which you'll see in a little bit, and it helps me with that too. When I begin rolling, I literally just roll in one direction. Then I just keep turning the dough 90 degrees every time I roll. Repeating this step helps me spread it out to a uniform circle. When I'm done, I remove the parchment paper and then I add the pie pan on top of the dough upside down. Then I get my hands underneath the pie pan and the dough and one on top of the pie pan and I flip it over. Lastly, remove the paper and start to push your dough into the corners of your pie pan. This way your dough can start to take form of the shape you're looking for. Right here, you can get real creative. Before I put anything into the pie pan, I use chopped pecans and I pepper it in the bottom. You could also use walnuts or peanuts or whatever your heart desires. But again, you can get super creative here. Use about half your caramel sauce and what you're gonna do is pour it over the pecans to cover the bottom of your pie. Next, take your filling that's cooled down, add it into the pie pan, and as you begin to pile it up, spread it evenly so you have a good even layer at the end. Now, add the rest of your caramel sauce right over top of the apples and then use a spatula to spread it out. From here, with your other piece of dough rolled out, you can get as fancy as you want. The design I chose to do is fairly easy, but sometimes I go to Pinterest and I look up some other designs. This helps me get ideas for other things I just can't do. But definitely don't go do that if you want to feel good about your design, because it doesn't help with that. Once you're done folding up your edges, you're gonna add some milk on top. Now the milk is gonna help be a wash, and it also helps add that flakiness to the top of your crust as it browns. Once you finish everything up, it should look something like this. All right, family, thank you so much for watching. Please hit the subscribe and like button if you haven't done so already. I appreciate you sticking around and watching the video. As always, believe in good. Peace.